the folks here, but then also our rural infrastructure fund. And how much did they put in for rural infrastructure? 25?
30.
They put in 30 million. Okay, so so that just allows that, and it, I can bring money down to Miami or some of these places, and we do that, and there is necessary. But you go in some of these rural communities with some of the infrastructure that you can do. It's a huge thing, and it really has really great bang for the buck. So we're excited about the announcement we're going to have in just one second. I will say, even though we've got, we have better employment than we did prior to COVID in terms of the number of jobs. It's lagged in a lot of other parts of the country. We've got people in the workforce. We've got a lot of job openings. So we're happy about that. But, you look, for the last, since January of 2021, you've seen gas prices go up. You've seen inflation. Now is the worst inflation we've seen in decades, since the late 70s and early 1980s. And they printed trillions and trillions of dollars thinking that somehow you could do that without there being any ramifications in Washington. Well, now we're seeing that. And, they say it's 8%, but the inflation's much more than that. Because if you look at all the things, the staples, clearly gas is much higher than 8% increase over the last year. But you look at the grocery store, some of the things that, some of the staples that people need, much higher than 8%. You look at how, building homes. They had all these communities in Florida, have a certain starting price. Come go to the villas of wherever, starting at $199 or $240, and now they have to X that out, and the 199s are now starting at $249 or higher, and the 249s are $299, because to build a home, all the materials are up 25, 30, 35%. So this is like a huge tax increase, basically, to every single person who's working. And you think about it, we had a good year in 2021. We had people increase their incomes. But if you have 7% increase in income, that would normally be considered something people would really like. But if inflation is higher than that, then you've actually lost ground. So it's a huge, huge problem facing our country. And one of the reasons why we wanted to be fiscally responsible in Florida and maintain really strong surplus reserves is what's going to happen is they said it was just that inflation was transitory. We know that's not true. We know that this is sustainable, and it's sustained, and it has been. They're going to have to start jacking up interest rates, probably, the Fed. And I think what that's going to do, that's going to slow down the economy. And so you're in a situation where, because of the mismanagement, that could end up plunging the country into a recession over the next couple of years. I hope that's not true, but I think we're being prudent by planning ahead so that if that were to ever happen, hopefully we've got enough juice going on in Florida that we would be able to ride it out without major dislocations. But to the extent we had to maneuver, we have the resources to be able to plug in so we continue to do things like education and law enforcement and all those other stuff. And so the way people get surprised at this comparison, but if you look at the population in each state, California is the biggest state by far. Then Texas, I think they're probably close to 30 million. We're 22.5 million probably right now. So, the closest state to us population-wise is New York State. We have 3 million more people than New York, and actually probably more because so many people have fled there over the last 2 years. I don't even think the statistics are up to date, but it's really been hollowed out. But let's just say we're 3 million more. Their budget is over twice the size of Florida's budget, and yet we have better roads, better services, higher performing K through 12, and the #1 ranked public university system in the country, and we do all that with no state income tax and the lowest per capita tax burden in the United States. So, and so you see how they have very high taxes, drive people out. I don't know what they waste a lot of that money because the roads there, it's like you get nausea by driving on them because it's like so bumpy. And it's just really, really mismanagement. So that's just the reality. So it shows you, making good, strong decisions really does make a difference. It puts you on a sustainable course. And, New York is doing billboards telling people come to New York from Florida. They're wasting taxpayer money on doing that. I don't know why they would do it. They're saying you can say whatever you want, but, they're the ones that will force a mask on your face and muzzle you in public, which they did for over a year and a half, which they didn't have the constitutional right to do. And then they just fired somebody who was criticizing the mayor for masking these toddlers. They still make toddlers wear masks in New York. That is just so fundamentally wrong, but that's what they're doing. And so if you speak up for the kids, then they fire you from your job. And so no wonder why they're having so much problems. So we're happy with what we're doing. We're also happy. I've been able to talk to the sheriff. We did, when you had places like New York defunding law enforcement last year, and they cut the budget for the police department by a lot. You look at Seattle, you look at Minneapolis. What happened when they attacked law enforcement and attacked the budgets? Crime went through the roof. And these are a lot of people, the people that live in like really nice, high secured areas and all that, they don't need the security as much. It's the people that are more vulnerable. They need law enforcement to protect, and yet they slashed the budget. They didn't support them, so you have a huge increase in crime, and that was a totally failed experiment. But we said from the beginning in Florida, we will never defund law enforcement. We're going to stand by law enforcement because we know how important that is to have safe communities. So as other jurisdictions were defunding law enforcement or cutting funding, 2021, Florida did $1,000 bonuses for every single firefighter, EMT, and police officer in the state of Florida. That shows you that we value what they're doing. And a lot of them that came up to me because they got the check in the mail, they were happy. Everybody wants to get a little bit more money, of course. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of it. But that was not the big thing. It was like, just the fact that the legislature appropriated this and the governor pushed for it and gave it to us, it just shows that you guys have our back. And so it was really a morale boost, and so we thought it was very successful. So we ended up doing it again 2 years in a row in this budget coming up. I haven't gone through all the budget yet, but I am going to approve $1,000 bonuses for the second year in a row for every police officer and firefighter in Florida. And I don't know, is the sheriff, is he here? Where's he at? How many vacancies? Do you have vacancies you need to fill in your department? Okay. How many do you know? I think we're down 2 right now. Okay. I was just in Hamilton County. They're down 8, which is, it's a small county. 8, they're down 8. I was down with Grady Judd and Polk. He's down a few dozen that they need to fill. And so, but you understand how the police have been mistreated by the media and by others, that not everyone may want to go into it. And so we said, you know what? We've led on this. We want to make sure we can recruit and retain very good people in the law enforcement. So I just signed a bill last week that anybody who's new to law enforcement in Florida, it could be someone just graduating from the academy who's a Floridian, or it could be one of those New York City officers, Seattle officers who are leaving because they're not getting support. Either way, if you're qualified and you're new here, you get a $5,000 signing bonus now in the state of Florida. I can tell you there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to come in all corners of our state, so we're really happy about that. The other thing we're really happy about is, making sure that we are defending the role that parents play in the education and upbringing of their kids. And we will continue to do that. We will make sure that parents can send, my daughter's 5. I want to be able to send her to school, without worrying about ideology or sexuality put into the curriculum. And so we were able to do a really, really strong bill to make sure, that parents were protected and kids were protected. And parents, they have a right to know, what's going on with the curriculum. And so we did curriculum transparency. So all the curriculum that's used in the schools, parents have a right to see and know what's being done. I think we need to focus less on some of these other things and more on reading, writing, math, science, American civics, so people understand the Constitution and understand why our country was founded. And we've put a strong emphasis on that. Very, very important. And so I think that understanding and honoring the role that parents play as being fundamental is very, very important. And unfortunately, there's a debate in our country now about whether parents do have that fundamental role. There's some who say, that the right of the school supersedes the interest of the parent. And so if you have one, teacher or administrator that may want to do one thing that is, not what the community wants, that basically parents just have to shut up and they shouldn't have any involvement in that. I think the good thing about Florida is, most of our teachers want the parents involved, because the kid's going to be more successful if the parent is actively involved in the education. And so I think people realize that you need that. So we're proud of being able to do that, and we will never back down from that, not 1 inch. Don't you worry about that. All right, so we have a program in the state of Florida. It's the Job Growth Grant Fund, and so it is money that's effectively appropriated by the legislature for use for either workforce development or infrastructure projects throughout the state of Florida. The applications go through the executive branch of government. They go to Dane in Department of Economic Opportunity. My office looks at them. So we let local communities apply for this funding. So this current fiscal year, we had $75 million for the entire state of Florida that was appropriated, and we've been able to use a number of that to do awards. But we're happy to say that here today, of that $75 million for this massive state of over 22 million people, we're doing $4.2 million of that right here in the city of Monticello to improve public infrastructure and support future commercial developments and adjoining property. Specifically, the money for this project will include an extension of wastewater services and will install approximately 11.8 miles of wastewater collection lines, as well as 3 lift stations. And so the estimate, this could create as many as 1,100 jobs, and these improvements will allow businesses to expand and will help facilitate access to customers. I mean, I look at parts of North Florida. This is great for manufacturing, logistics. There's a lot of opportunities here, and so this money, I think, is going to make a big impact. Now, one of the things we're really proud of in Florida is we've put an emphasis on day one on workforce education. And when I was growing up, people would say that unless you go to college, you're not going to be successful. And I think what that's enabled was a lot of students going deep into debt, being told that they need this magic piece of paper. But if you go $150,000 in debt and you have a degree in zombie studies, you know what? The seas aren't going to part for you when you get out, okay? And look, it's free. You can make the decisions that you want. And we're proud of our state universities. We don't let them raise tuition. So you can go to Florida State, University of Florida, all the state universities. We're ranked #1 in U.S. News and World Report with our state university system. We're happy about that. But we're happy it's affordable, and we think that there's a lot of great programs there. And look, if you go $100,000 in debt and you get degrees from like MIT, you're going to be fine, right? You're going to do. But I can tell you there's a lot of students who've gotten overburdened with debt and ended up with degrees that are not really leading to very much. And so think about it. You go 4 or 5, sometimes it'll take them 6 years to graduate, deep into debt, and then end up in a job you could have had right out of high school anyways. That's a millstone around the necks of these kids. So what we say is, we want you to be able to pursue your dreams. Going to a traditional 4-year brick and ivy is one way you can do it, and there's certain paths that you have to do that. But if you look at our economy now, if you get good concrete skills in a lot of these high-demand fields, which you can get in high school and immediately out of high school, you can make a good living right off the bat as an 18, 19-year-old kid. And then you can make more and more. The truck drivers, they're given $15,000 signing bonuses for new truck drivers right now. You look at what you can make in electrical and HVAC and all these other things, huge opportunities. And so one of the things that we've worked on is we want to expand the manufacturing footprint in Florida. Now, part of that is we have a good business climate, no income tax, law and order, open state, all that stuff. But part of it is we have this focus on producing people that have the type of skills that are needed in a lot of these key endeavors. And you see it throughout the state. I mean, we've got a great defense footprint. We've got aerospace. But I've talked to more people since COVID who want to get out of some of these states where they were treated so poorly, and they want to bring operations down to Florida. So I think we've got a lot of great opportunities in that regard, in North Florida in particular. And so I think this is kind of a down payment to help position this county for that. And look, at the end of the day, we've got to start making more stuff in our country, period. I mean, I want it to be in Florida, but you look. We had, when COVID first hit, they needed all these medical supplies, and I think every single key supply was made in China. And you think about yourself, is that really a good thing for our economic and national security, particularly with a country that is very hostile in terms of their intentions? It's not. And so we want to do all we can to have more onshore in the United States, but particularly in the state of Florida. So I'm happy to present the check. So if you all want to come, we'll get the photo. You guys want to line up and accept this on behalf of the local community? You got it? All right. I have been asked. They actually won't cash this piece of cardboard, but the check will clear. So we're excited about doing it, and we will do more. I think in the budget this year, there's $50 million for job growth grant. We asked for 100, and they didn't do as much as we'd asked, but we'll still make good use of that. And so we really encourage our rural counties to apply, and we want to be able to help because I think it goes a long way. All right, we're going to hear from Representative Schoaf, then Secretary Eagle.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for coming out. Governor, thank you so much for coming over here to Monticello. I know all of North Florida appreciates our governor. He has, from day one, jumped in and paid extra attention to the needs, the specific needs of our rural communities, and we just can't thank you enough. I tell you, I wake up every day and get to raise my children in the free state of Florida, and I can't think of a better place to live, work, play, and raise a family, and we owe a lot of that. In fact, most of that to your leadership, especially during this, pulling us out of this pandemic, protecting our fundamental liberties, and being a leader on a national stage and setting the way. So thank you again, and these dollars will really help Jefferson County. It'll help the region with workforce development and septic to sewer projects, and it just helps all the way around. So again, thank you, Governor. We appreciate you.
All right, Dane Eagle.
Well, thank you all for having us here in Monticello, just down the road, but a great treat to be here with all of you. And as the governor said, the Job Growth Grant Fund, it's very competitive. Statewide grant, $74 million. It's a lot of money. But when you look at the state as big as it is, for the governor to commit $4.2 million right here in Jefferson County in Monticello, that's a big statement, and he's very happy to be here, as he said. The economy today is stronger than it was pre-pandemic. We have more jobs, more workforce, which is incredible, and it's thanks to his leadership in making sure that Florida remains free and open. And with this grant today, you all can do great good. 12 miles of connecting water and wastewater. It's going to help with jobs. It's going to help with 800 people moving here every single day to make sure that they know where Monticello is. But beyond that, as Representative Schoaf touched on, it's going to help many residents and others connect to this sewer system and get off septic, and it's going to help with water quality. That's incredible. It's icing on the cake. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Governor, for your commitment to rural communities.
Great. We drive in and we see, the nice courthouse, and I'm just thinking to myself, why don't they design buildings like that anymore? It's like the 1970s came, and then all these bad buildings, and it's like, it's very charming to see, like, this is kind of, old Florida, and it's, and I would just encourage people, there's when different people, parts of the country think about Florida, they'll think about, like, a beach in Miami, and that's fine, it's fun, do that too, but, like, a lot of our communities up here in North Florida, great to visit. great to be able to see, and it's really really a neat experience. And I would say from all across, really, really good. So this would be a great place to be. I also just want to thank Dane for all he's done to work hard and really be a problem solver. We had an issue down in Southwest Florida recently where we had some really bad tornadoes rip through some of our mobile home parks. And these were predominantly elderly residents. Most of them were on Social Security as their sole source of income. And we declared a state of emergency, and we applied for aid from the Biden administration. And the White House stiffed these tornado victims on getting any relief. And I think they did it because they don't like Florida, they don't like me, and I think that's unfortunate. But that's just the way things are, unfortunately, in our country right now. But we said, okay, we're going to help. We're going to figure out. So we went through state programs. We probably did, millions and millions of dollars in state, over $10 million that we brought to bear on the state. And then we said, okay, we wanted the federal government to provide some individual assistance. Just think about it. You're in a mobile home, you're 74, and the home's gone. Okay, what are you going to do? You need some support. So there were about 300 displaced, and it was both Charlotte and Lee counties. And so we said, okay, we've got certain state stuff we're going to do and put that on, but we want individual assistance. So we launched an effort to raise money for these folks. And I had the Republican Party of Florida put in $100,000. We had others. We raised $1.3 million. So we've had people apply, and we had people apply. So we had 43 people initially apply. So we were able to go down and cut each of those 43 displaced residents a $10,000 check. We now have dozens more that are in the hopper that we're going to be able to do $10,000 each for. And so this is just a situation where, we're going to stand up and do whatever we can to help these folks and do what's right. And Dane was a big part of that. Our Department of Emergency Management was a big part of that. But, don't let some of these people grind you down. Just do what you got to do to look out for your folks. So we're happy that we were able to deliver tornado relief for folks in Southwest Florida. Okay, is there anything else I can do for the county or Monticello? What do you guys need?
Get reelected.
Okay, well. That's up to you, not up to me, so. Thank you. Thanks. All righty. All right. Anybody?